If you beat yourself up about what you think your life should look like and different choices you should have made in your life, stick around. Let's talk about this. Today in a higher self hypnosis session, my client asked that very question of her higher self, and I'm going to read it from my screen. The question was, she beats herself up for not having a life like she quote unquote should have and for not having made different choices in her life. Is she holding on to a trapped emotion of regret? And if so, where is she holding it and what color is it? Under hypnosis, my client responded by channeling her higher self and saying, it's worse than that. It's regret and shame. But she overstates it in a way. It's not as bad as it seems, but she views it that way. So it is that way. I asked, why does she keep beating herself up like that? And her higher self said, it all comes from a lack of self-love. There is some part of her that feels like she deserves it, but that needs to be released. I asked, she feels like she deserves the beating? And her higher self said yes. I then asked her higher self, is she ready to release this trapped emotion or does she want to hold on to it a little bit longer? And her higher self said, she knows it's happening. She's aware of it and she's seen it. So I asked, does she want to keep doing it? Does she like it? And her higher self said, no, it scared her. Or maybe it shocked her that she was doing that to herself. I then asked, what can she do to stop doing it to herself? And her higher self said, there's a little part of her that needs to be cleared that holds on to that little bit of hatred. I said, what part of her is that? And why is she holding on to self-hatred like that? And her higher self said, it's just an unhealed part that is still there. She can let it go though. We just need to cut that part out. It's not big, it's small, but it's there. So I then asked her higher self, can you perform psychic surgery on her and cut that part out and replace it with love and light? Her higher self said, yes, it's very small, but it's still powerful, so it has got to come out. And I'm going to fill that hole back up. So if you beat yourself up about what your life should look like or choices you should have made, you're going to want to take a look at yourself like this too and find out where is that part of you that hates yourself and what can you do to have more self-love in your life. In this case, we downloaded Creator's definition and perspective of self-love and then asked her higher self to teach her body what it feels like to love herself. So it's catching yourself every time you beat yourself up like this, every time you criticize yourself, and changing the rhetoric and focusing instead on what you do love about yourself. Not focusing on the negative about yourself, but focusing on and highlighting and making a big deal out of the positives. And letting those past choices and decisions go. You're not going to change it by focusing on it. So again, it's changing the focus to what you do want and focusing on the changes you can make and the healing you can give yourself now.